It's funny, you know. I think the recent death of Dolly Parton exemplifies a very important thing, at least in my mind. Now, I don't know Dolly Parton, never met her. None of her records feature in my record collection. And I've probably seen her on videos a handful of times over the years. And yet this woman who just died at age 19, well, she died at 80, featured somewhat in my life, as she has done in all of our lives, because a person that lives that long and has such international recognition has an impact in some respect, whether you like her music, whether you don't like her music, whatever. But she's a presence, or she was a presence. And I remember being at a garage sale, it was a car boot sale, just recently, lining up for coffee, and one bloke was being asked, he asked, "How old do you think I am?" And the barista said, "I don't know." And he said, "I'm actually older than Dolly Parton, who's obviously who was 80. And I was just reflecting on the fact, just reflecting on the death of Dolly Parton. And it's really quite interesting, because if you look at the headlines of the news, if you look at all the news stations, the newspapers, her death was very significant. And I think, from my perspective, when I've looked at videos of her, as, being interviewed, etc., she always came across as a very decent person. Now, here is a person who's made their fame and fortune through music, through songwriting, through their business acumen, etc., etc. And yet, I think she always came across as a very decent person. And when you research her a little bit more, and you see her philanthropy and the fact she did a lot for children's literature, etc., you come to realize that this person who's presented on face value, presented by the media, presented by, record companies, etc., as being this, you see that this person was actually this, and it's this that is perhaps the more significant. And what my take is from Dolly Parton, and I think she was fundamentally a very decent person. My takeaway from that is the fact that it doesn't matter who you are or what you are. Being a decent person, being kind and generous and seeking the betterment of others, I think is an amazing characteristic and trait. And that's what separates ordinary people from the extraordinary, Yeah, so I just wanted to reflect on that. I put a post on Teams for the company that I work for, announcing my last day tomorrow and my imminent departure from the company. And I just got a nice post that somebody wrote, and it says, "Thanks for all the tips you shared with me, the laughs and cheeky banter we may or may not have had. Dodo," that's my cat, "will be stoked she has you back full time now. Best wishes, sir. The world awaits you and your camera." And that's in recognition of my photography or my camera prowess or whatever. Yeah, but it's just a nice thought, and I'm just reflecting at this time should be working, I suppose. But I'm just reflecting on the fact that, in this world where so much badness happens, so much evil happens, so many bad things happen, and you've only got to look at, Trump's disgraceful attack on Iran. If you look at fucking Israel, if you look at Britain's fucking complicity in all the shit, if you look at the earthquakes that have happened, if you look at the evictions of legitimate government by Trump and his allies, if you look at the, even today, the landslide in Nepal, which is absolutely horrific. If you look at all the shit that's happening, it's really hard to keep grounded and to sort of maintain some sort of semblance of, sanity. Semblance of sanity. I mean, the world, with all its global warming, with all its climate change, with its drive and push to AI, which is surely going to fuck us all up, with the rise of robotics, it's all fucked. But on that basis, you have to ground yourself in something, and I grind myself today in the fact, that Helen and I have been together for a year, and that's fantastic. She's fantastic. It's meant to be. It's tough, but it's bloody awesome. And Dodo, my cat, who is just the most phenomenal friend and has been now for 6 years. You have to sort of, you can get overwhelmed by the shit that happens in society and in the world. And it ain't going to get better, folks. So you grind, you ground yourself. I've had too many to drink. You ground yourself in what you know and what you can find comfort in. And you have to say, fuck the rest, So there's a sort of paradox there. You care about humanity, you care about society, you care about the environment, you care about the world. And then ultimately you learn that you have to look after yourself and those in your immediate embrace, and fuck everybody else. That's the reality of it, hard as it is. You can't spread yourself thin and care about everything and everyone. And here I am at nearly 64 learning that, but it's the truth. You can't do it all. I banged my head against a brick wall most of my life, against the wisdom that was given to me so long ago. And I've continued to bang my head against the wall, and I probably will continue to do that. But for what purpose? Ultimately, you come down to the woman in your life, or the man if you're a woman, or whatever the gender mix is. You come back to the animals in your life, you come back to your home and what matters to you, and fuck the rest. And that's what it is, folks. And on that note, I'm going to return to my beer and wish you a good afternoon.